Conversations and Connections with Susan. We talk life, the beauty and vulnerability of self love, and the journey toward evolving into your best self. So let's get into it. I want to talk today about the grace to grow. There's such power in grace. And when I say grace, I mean when we are in spaces where we have low self esteem. I talked about that in the previous episode. If you didn't join at that time, go back, take a listen. But when we live in places of low self esteem and lack of confidence, we're being swallowed by who we don't think we are, who we are not. We often don't give ourselves grace. And God actually gave us grace. He says it's ours to have. And there's a delicate balance, right? Between being proud of ourselves and what we've done and being humble at the same time. That humbleness is where grace lives, right? We feel like we achieve, we work, we're proud of what we do most of the time. We're comfortable in that space. And here we're working through the things that we were not comfortable in. But we are so hard on ourselves. We give chances, grace, to our children. We give chances to our spouses. We give chances to our friends, to our lovers who disappoint us time and time again. We give them grace to make mistakes. We say, oh, it's okay. We'll do it again. We'll do it over. But when it comes to us, we have a hard time giving ourselves grace to grow. I'm going to speak for me because I don't know that that's the case for you. But I'm thinking it's for some of you the same as it was for me. In working through accepting myself and loving myself, it was hard for me to give myself credit for what I did. Now, I thank God that I've learned to be. I can't say that I try not to use words like always and never. So I can't say that I was always humble. That's not true. Because for a great deal of my life, I was hard as a brick. Like, I was like, what you got? I was nice, but I wasn't necessarily humble. I didn't give myself grace. When I began to evolve, I began to understand the balance between being proud of myself and humbly allowing myself to have grace to grow. You see, the problem in being proud of ourselves sometimes is we get arrogant. We make it, we make accomplishments, we move forward. And I say everybody should have a little arrogance about them because it pushes you, right? It makes you square your shoulders. But when you're in a space of low self esteem and you're hiding and you don't know how to do it right, it comes across and you absorb it as thinking and being more than you really should. You don't give yourself grace. You just walk in that instead of saying, I have accomplished it. I'm going to be proud of it. I'm going to give myself grace to grow in the process, but I'm not going to disallow other people to have more than me. I'm not going to, and what I mean by that is, I'm not going to give you more of an opportunity to grow. I'm not going to give you more of a chance to make mistakes than I'm going to give myself. Grace to grow is when you want to live your best life, you want to do the things that are right, but you get 3 steps forward and you make a mistake and you forget that you actually got 3 steps forward. You get down on yourself. The self-esteem, the low self-esteem, the lack of confidence, all of that stuff comes back to the surface as if you didn't accomplish anything. So it's a balance. You have to learn, and as we begin to delve into it, you become more in tune, right? The more you like yourself, the more you love yourself, the more you look at your accomplishments and you can see your mistakes and say, hey, I made a mistake. I'm going to give myself grace to grow. If you like it, that's fine. If you don't, meaning the other people in your life, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be both proud of what I do, accepting of the mistakes I make, have a little bit of arrogance about me, but I'm going to be humble enough to give myself grace and allow it all to serve me as I continue to grow. Every time you do that, believe me, you get a little bit stronger. You get a little bit wiser. And your mistakes, even though we continue to make them, you begin to not do the same things that you did. You begin to think differently. You begin to pat yourself on the back. You begin to understand that you have the ability to be good and make mistakes at the same time. Humility, grace, I can't tell you how it impacts your relationships. Now, I've been hugely successful. It took a minute, but I did that thing. In the leadership world, yes, I did. Right? When you have and you give yourself grace to grow, you become better for everyone around you. When you can allow yourself to say, I'm not perfect, I'll never be perfect, I no longer expect myself to be perfect, then you stop expecting that from other people. You start to see a little clearer. And just like you see the mistakes that they made, and you give them the chance to do it better, to rebound and to learn, you begin to do that more and more for yourself. There's beauty in grace. There's beauty in you seeing and living and being okay with your imperfections. Grace keeps you from chasing perfection. Because you know what? Perfection ain't real. It's not real. So while we chase it, while we give ourselves an opportunity to continue to not feel good about ourselves because we're chasing perfection, because I don't look perfect, I don't fit into that size, my skin color isn't this, my hair isn't that. We continue to run behind those things that people tell us are perfect for ourselves. But really, if we deal with who we are on the inside, then we give ourselves permission to not be perfect. And I want you to give yourself permission to not be perfect. I want you to give yourself grace. When I tell you, it is one of the greatest gifts that you can give yourself to say, I got up, I did my best. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, but I'll be damned if I don't try it again. Or I'll be damned if I let so and so treat me any kind of way. I'll be damned if I don't see the value in myself. I'm going to walk into who I'm going to be, and along the way, before I give you grace, I'm going to give it to myself. You can be selfish. It's okay to be selfish. You don't have to be self-centered, but you can be selfish, because the only way you're going to get to the other side, the only way you're going to get to a point where you can see yourself as an evolving being, as someone who is moving forward, is when you recognize the fact that you are never going to get to that place of everything being okay all the time. It doesn't happen. So, no one is going to toot your horn bigger than you, but you have to do it with a little bit of arrogance, a lot of humility, and an extra dose of grace. That's how you begin to come out of that space of having low self-esteem. That's how you become better at loving yourself and understanding yourself. Because before you can give all of that, all of you, to anybody else, let me give you a clue. You got to give it to yourself. Because no matter where you go, you take you with you. And if you don't love you, you're fooling yourself. If you think you're going to love that person, I don't care who they are, mom, dad, sister, sibling, child, husband. You've got to do you in a very, very loving way. And then you can give it to other people. And that's what grace gives you. Self-grace gives you the ability to love yourself more. And then you love others more. You forgive you just like you forgive others. And you move through life in a much, much better place. And you just feel good. It feels good. And that's what we want, right? We want to feel good about us. I want to feel good about myself. I don't know if you want to feel good about yourself, but that's my hope that you do. That you want to be in this world, living life to the fullest and feeling good about it along the way. That's my hope. That's where I am now. It took a while to get here. So it is work, right? But it is absolutely attainable. And as I say, there's always so much beauty on the other side of evolving into your best self. So give yourself grace just as much as you give others. Next time you say, oh, I'm going to give them another chance. When you make a mistake or when you have a success, I want you to think about yourself and give that to you as your own gift to your own life. And then you'll be better for yourself and for other people. So what does growing in grace look like? Um, it looks like you allowing yourself to live in your accomplishments, to recognize that you're not perfect and that you're going to make mistakes. So my thing to you is, are you going to give yourself grace to grow today? You have to. Yeah, you have to. So, grace to grow. That's what I want you to remember. Put it on your memory. Put it on your mirror. Put it on your car. Whatever it is. Give yourself grace to grow. Thank you for joining the conversation. Like, share, subscribe all over at Susan R. Appleton. Follow us and join the conversation. Have a great one.